I discovered tampons in my husband's car, and I found myself wishing he'd been cheating instead. It would have been easier than the truth my children had to endure. I'm a 29-year-old woman, married to my 30-year-old husband for 4 years, together for 7. I'd never had cause to doubt his loyalty or our happiness. He often teased that we were still in our newlywed phase, even after 2 kids and nearly 5 years of marriage. I believed it, too, until a shocking find in his car last month shook my world. While securing our daughter in her car seat, I spotted something wedged in the seat cushions. Thinking it was a toy or stray wrapper, I reached for it, only to pull out a tampon. My heart skipped a beat. I haven't had a period in over a year due to my IUD, and the tampon's wrapper wasn't a brand I'd ever used. Its bright packaging stood out against the car's interior, a jarring clue that twisted my stomach. That evening, I confronted my husband, holding the tampon like a piece of damning evidence. He looked puzzled at first, staring at it blankly. "What's this about?" he asked, his eyebrows knitting together. Try and keep my voice calm, I explained. "I found this in your car, tucked in the seat. It's not mine. I haven't needed one in over a year." His expression stayed blank for a moment before he shrugged it off. "Oh, probably Fiona's," he said casually, mentioning his coworker. "She must have dropped it when we grabbed lunch." His dismissive tone stung, as if I was making a fuss over nothing. I waited for some acknowledgement of why this bothered me, but he just turned back to his phone, leaving me stunned and questioning everything I thought I knew about U.S. IT wasn't unusual for my husband to carpool with co-workers, including Fiona. We were close with her and her husband, often hosting them for barbecues or movie nights. Fiona and I had connected over shared struggles, like juggling work and parenting. Our kids played together, and I'd always seen their carpooling as harmless. I told myself the tampon could have slipped from Fiona's bag during a lunch ride, maybe while she reached for her keys or phone. It was a plausible accident, right? I tried to let it go, not wanting to stir up drama over something so small. Our friendship with Fiona and her husband was built on years of trust, so I pushed the unease aside, convincing myself it was a fluke. But then, at a dinner with Fiona and her husband a couple weeks later, doubts crept back. My husband's casual dismissal of the tampon still gnawed at me. Why was it tucked so oddly in the seat? Was he playing dumb? Feeling a mix of paranoia and guilt, I did something I now regret. I faked a need for a tampon and asked Fiona if she had one. She handed me one, and it looked almost identical to the one from the car. Relief washed over me. Maybe it was hers. And there was a simple explanation. I thought that was the end of it. But this morning, I found another tampon, this time in my sock drawer. My stomach dropped. The idea of my husband having an affair made me sick, but the thought that someone, maybe Fiona, was leaving these items for me to find felt even worse. Why would she offer me a tampon if she was trying to taunt me? I felt too humiliated and nauseated to confront my husband again. Trapped in a cycle of overthinking every possible explanation, I shared this with my sister, detailing the car tampon, the sock drawer find, my husband's nonchalance, and Fiona's matching tampon. We compared the tampons. I'd thrown out the first but kept the second, and they were the same brand, just different absorbencies. My daughters hadn't touched them. They didn't even know what tampons were. My sister was convinced Fiona was either involved with my husband messing with me, or both. Confronting either seemed risky, so she suggested inviting Fiona and her husband to our Labor Day barbecue to observe them. They couldn't make it, citing prior plans. My sister and I decided cameras were premature without more proof, so we waited, watching for changes in my husband's behavior. There were none. Strange items in the house, none appeared, or new people around our girls. My sister's husband insisted the tampons were likely harmless, pointing out that my husband's routine with the kids, daycare drop-offs and pickups, made secrecy unlikely. I took some comfort in that. Then last week, my 2-year-old got sick. I wanted to stay home with her, but my husband insisted on taking leave to care for her. My sister and her husband saw this as a good sign, and we were starting to move past the tampon incident. But by the end of the week, I came home to something odd. My daughter, who'd been in old pajamas that morning, was now in an unfamiliar onesie with a tiny hair clip I didn't recognize. I know my kids' clothes well, and I'd sworn off full-length snap-up onesies long ago. They're a hassle for diaper changes. My husband doesn't buy their clothes or accessorize them, so this was alarming. The thought of someone near my sick child without my knowledge sent chills down my spine. I asked my husband if anyone had visited. He looked confused, as he had before, and said it was just him and the kids. I pressed again, asking if anyone had stopped by, even briefly. He denied it, telling me to relax. With our older daughter nearby, I held back from accusing him outright, but the tension was palpable. I dropped it, unable to make sense of it. The onesie and clip haunted me. I was spiraling, neglecting sleep, food, and my kids while chasing answers. I ordered hidden cameras, arranging for them to be sent to my sister's house, with my brother-in-law agreeing to help install them. But before they arrived, I got my answer. Last week, amidst our usual chaotic morning routine, I dropped the girls at school and headed to work. A strange feeling lingered, and then a ring notification popped up. Motion at the front door. Expecting a delivery, I opened the clip and froze. A young woman was leading my youngest daughter into our house, hand in hand, with my husband and older daughter following. My heart raced. The girls should have been at daycare, my husband at work. The woman, I realized with jolt, was supposed to be 2 states away, under a court order. Yet here she was in our home with my family. The footage felt like a nightmare. The woman was my sister-in-law, someone I hadn't seen in years due to her history of abuse and addiction. She coerced silence from another family member after abusing them, and I never expected her back in our lives. My husband had implied she was gone for good. Seeing her with my daughters sent a wave of panic through me. I called him repeatedly, my hands shaking. He ignored my calls until the 5th or 6th try, finally picking up. I demanded to know why she was in our house. His stammering response only deepened my dread. IT wasn't an affair. It was worse. My sister-in-law, fresh from rehab, wanted to reconnect and make amends with those she'd hurt, including my husband. He'd been meeting her secretly, often at our house when I was at work, entering through the garage to avoid the Ring camera. She'd even stayed overnight in our bed during a business trip I took, and she'd babysat our girls when my husband claimed they were with his parents. She bought the onesie and clip, dressing my daughter in them. The tampons were likely hers, too. The calculated deception, lying to my face, letting me agonize for weeks, made my skin crawl. He dismissed my concerns, even suggesting I had postpartum depression, despite knowing how deeply I feared that condition after my mother's experience. His gaslighting, claiming I was irrational or sleep-deprived, shattered my trust. When I confronted him, his excuses were weak and disjointed, muttering about protecting me from stress, about her wanting to make amends. His evasiveness and panic confirmed his betrayal. The man I built a life with was a stranger, hiding a dangerous secret. The thought of my daughters exposed to this deceit was unbearable. I ended the marriage, a decision both heartbreaking and empowering. The divorce process was grueling, with endless court battles. My husband fought me, painting himself as a victim. I presented the Ring footage, the tampons, the onesie, and testimonies from my sister and brother-in-law. The court needed more than assumptions about my sister-in-law's past, but I focused on my husband's lies and the breach of trust. After months, I won primary custody, with my husband granted supervised visitation to ensure the girls' safety. This ordeal taught me hard lessons. Trust is fragile, instincts are powerful, and communication is vital. Never ignore red flags or settle for less than you deserve. My children and I are rebuilding, free from deception, and I'm committed to giving them a stable, honest future. Opinion. This story is a gut-wrenching journey of betrayal and resilience. The discovery of seemingly small clues, like the tampons, unraveled a web of lies that shook the foundation of your marriage. Your strength in prioritizing your children's safety and taking decisive action, despite the emotional toll, is inspiring. It's a stark reminder of how deception, even with good intentions, can destroy trust. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you're moving forward, or what advice you'd share with others in similar situations. Please leave your comment below.